Hello and welcome back to another episode of Warhammer. I'm Zoe Kirk Robinson, and this week 11th edition Warhammer is here. The pre-orders have gone live yesterday. I was down at my local shop. Let's talk about it. Like I say, I was down at my local shop. I got there at 9 a.m. because they were opening at 9:30 to allow people to be ready in the queue to order live when the orders went live. First in line. I expected not to be. This is quite telling. All of the people that queued after me didn't even take up the amount of boxes that were allocated just to that shop I was at. So something's happened. And a few people on the internet are going all conspiracy, like, oh, Games Workshop's on the downslide and everyone's turning against 11th edition and people aren't happy about the 3-year cycle and all that. And yeah, people aren't happy about the 3-year cycle. They haven't been for ages. What do you expect is the 3-year cycle? It shouldn't be. I personally think 6 years would be good. 3 years to get the codexes out and then 3 years of lore and gaming and enhancements and testing, making sure everything's all right. And then at the 6-year point, if there's been enough issues arisen that we've had a lot of erratas, which let's face it, there probably will have been, then another issue comes out. And then we'll see how it goes from there. That would be my view of how to do it. But Games Workshop's gone with this 3-year cycle. So that's what we have. At least it's better than Formula 1, where they change the rules every year. But then again, this isn't Formula 1. This is a bunch of people playing in their houses or at local clubs. From my point of view, regarding why there don't seem to be too many people having ordered this, and if you were wanting to order it, you've probably been able to get a box from wherever you're wanting it, because it's the economic downturn. People don't have the spare cash at the moment, or if they do have the spare cash, a lot of people are thinking, well, we better hold that back in case. Personally, I went for it because I had the cash. I wanted it for my job and also for my gaming. So, yeah, I went out and got it. But if you didn't, I completely understand why. And if you're just going to stick with the core rules that are now available for free online, and you're happy to stick with that, plus a codex or something like that once they are released for 11th, can't blame you for that either. Do what makes you happy and keeps you able to play the game. That's how I see it. There's nothing wrong with that. Also, I genuinely don't think people are on the downturn from Games Workshop. I don't think that's going to happen at all, because it's still the biggest player. They made a lot of these boxes, the same way they made a lot of Leviathan, and apparently that was around reasonably well. You could pick it up on the day and a few days after. I think it'll be the same with 11th edition. I honestly do think the Armageddon box is a good deal for what you get in it. I've had a look at what's in it, and it looks pretty good. I'm very interested in the new way things work, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And I think a lot of people online are thinking this is a good set of changes for the game going forward. So I don't think it's anything about, oh, people are going against Games Workshop, they're all turning against them, this, that, and the other. No, none of that. I think it's simply economic downturn, and people are prepared to wait this time and see whether they can get what they need from it later on. Also, you've got to remember that we've had Combat Patrol magazine recently. We've had years of Space Marines coming out and out and out and out and out. It's not like Primaris era back in, 8th edition? So your current guys look and play the same as the guys in the box. Orcs players, yeah, they're probably going to be very happy. But for everyone else, do you need this box? Or do you think you could pick up the cards from a parts seller on eBay? Or just use the ones that are at your local club and things like that? There's a lot of questions like that, especially when economic downturn, which is the big thing right now, is going to be playing a factor. Can you make do until you can pick up your own stuff? I think that is the reason why you were able to get the box if you wanted it, and you probably still can. Nothing else. I think it's just that. So let's talk about what's actually in the box. We've got the core rulebook. It's in a paperback format this time, which is just like 5th edition. This is my copy of 5th edition. It's the Assault on Blackreach box. You may notice it's covered in dust. It's been in storage. I have this here partly because what we're going to be looking at in here is going to be indicative of what's in 11th edition's box, and partly because I've had some comments saying I'm a tourist and don't know what I'm talking about. This is my personal copy that I've had since it came out. I have 5th edition. I have Space Crusade. That's when I first got into 40k. That's how far back I go.
I'm old, Gandalf.
This is what the new core rules looks like, essentially. The 5th edition core rule book. Paperback, very easy to use. Go through everything, blah, blah, blah. Very nice. There is a booklet here that's like the lore and the photographs and all of that. That in 11th edition is actually hardback, and it's basically a giant lore dump with stories and stuff like that and photographs and all of the start collecting blah 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 stuff. Great stuff. Really good stuff. Then there's other bits of crap in here that you don't need. But that's the core part. The core rules are now 2 separate books. The hardback one is only in that Armageddon box. The core rules are the core rules. My problem with the new idea of the core rules is the same as the problem I had with this. Paperback is great, but I would like to be able to open that up and have it on a certain page while I'm playing, so I can talk to my opponent. And yes, those of you who say, oh, all of your battle reports just have you in them, blah, 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 and that shows how you're not liked and you'd have no friends. Like, no. I film these at 1 o'clock in the morning, guys. I'm not going to have my friends over at 1 o'clock in the morning. They've got to get to work, I've got to get to work. So I would like to be able to have this open on the table. So personally, I would have preferred if they'd had a ring bound, like the General's Handbook from Age of Sigmar, because it would sit better on the table. The cards in the box, they look interesting. I didn't have a proper chance to have a look at these when I was down at the shop over yesterday. Perhaps I will over the next week or so, because I'll be back down to pick up, for example, White Dwarf, and also because I just want to have a look at the cards. But from what I can tell, one set is essentially mission packs for a campaign, which is very interesting. And the other set, I'm not entirely sure what that's about. However, I have found from talking to people and talking to the store manager that Combat Patrol is not mentioned, which is very interesting. Personally, I like Combat Patrol. A 500-point match that runs for about 90 minutes is perfect from my point of view. You can get a friend or two around, you can have a game or two in an evening, have a bit of fun, and that's great. It's the same way I play Bolt Action and other things like that. I like a skirmish battle. So I suppose I could still use Kill Team for that, but Kill Team has separate rules. What I like is a short, fast-paced Warhammer 40,000 battle. So, from my point of view, I'm surprised that Combat Patrol wasn't more forefront. But still, if it's there as a 500-point skirmish-style battle on a slightly larger scale, I'm fine with that. Also, I can do boarding actions or something. That'll help with that. But it was surprising. I thought it might be one of those sets of cards, or perhaps in that hardback book, but apparently not. What is in it is very interesting. Detachments have changed. Now you get detachment points, but you can mix and match. So, modular detachments. That's cool to me. The fact that they've got rid of the objective markers like they had in 10th edition beforehand. Now, objectives are buildings and terrain pieces. That, to me, is really good because I like a narrative style of game. And having just a blank space with a circle doesn't really feel right to me. I much prefer to actually have something that you can physically see on the board and perhaps even move during the game. For, let's say, you're trying to collect an artifact and so's the opposition team. So you fight with it and you move it around the board. I like that idea. I think that's a really good idea. And having terrain pieces as the objective marker, much better. Big improvement there. Some of the other stuff, like have a campaign in a weekend. That was one of the things that was on the 5 big things changed to in the 11th edition poster thing that was with all of Armageddon. I like that a lot. That's to do with one of these boxes of cards. So the idea that you can run an entire campaign in a weekend with a series of battles, like let's say 4 or 5 battles, and it's a short campaign, obviously, but you can do it, is a really interesting thing. So I'm going to have a look at that and put it to the test on this channel. We're going to do a campaign in a full weekend. I don't know when it's going to happen, probably July, because I'll need time to build and paint the models, but we're going to have that. And as a narrative style of player more than a tournament style, I like the change in the terrain, and I like this emphasis on short campaigns. I think that's really big improvement. So overall, I'm very impressed. The models, take them or leave them. I'm not really bothered. Orcs aren't my thing. Space Marines, I have a Space Marine chapter for a narrative campaign that I've been putting together. So yeah, they're kind of my thing, but not. But my faction of choice is Thousand Sons, and my secondary one is Tyranids. So Orcs and Space Marines, not really my thing, so I can take them or leave them. But very interested in the actual mechanics. I like what I'm seeing. I think the Doom merchants that are going, oh, this is the end and blah, 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 are just Doom merchanting for their own benefit. But I'd love to hear what you think. Did you get a box if you wanted one? Did you decide not to and you're going to go and put things together yourself over the next few months or whatever? Let me know in the comments, because I'd love to hear your theories and what most impressed you about the changes that have been announced. Let me know, because I'd love to have a proper conversation. But for now, that's all I've got for you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Happy gaming. Bye for now. I'd like to give a big shout out to everyone who supports me on Patreon. Without you guys, I really couldn't continue making all of these shows. And if you'd like to join our fantastic Patreon heroes here, go over to patreon.com/Zoe Kirk Robinson. It really does help us out. Thank you so much, guys.